Hey, what's
Hey, how
up,
are you
man?
doing?
I'm doing good. What about you?
Good, good, good. How's school going?
It's going good. Yeah.
Good, good.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll start with the first question. Just like, can you
hmm
introduce yourself?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So, my name's Lawton. I'm currently a senior chemical engineering student at University of California, Irvine.
nice, nice. So, how did you decide that you want to study chemical engineering?
So, chemical engineering started, for me at least, it started with an interest in chemistry. I did very well in high school in chemistry. I placed very well. And then I decided, okay, well, naturally, the best course of action would be to go into chemistry. Well, chemistry degrees don't pay very much compared to chemical engineering. So, naturally you go to chemical engineering because it's, the same amount of work or maybe slightly more work for a lot more payout.
Yeah. And what would you say like the main differences between like chemistry and chemical engineering are?
Yeah.
Maybe
So,
like the curriculum and stuff.
right. So a lot of people seem to have a misconception that when you get a chemical engineering degree, you're getting a chemistry degree. You are not getting a chemistry degree. Chemical engineering it involves a lot of chemistry, but it is very different than a chemistry degree in the sense that instead of doing chemical reactions in beakers, and basically in chemistry, you're learning a lot of um, experimental chemistry and a lot of how things work on a chemical level. Whereas in chemical engineering, you take that same concept and apply it to a large manufacturing process. So inherently, there's a lot more math. So if you're not very good at math, you don't like math, chemical engineering is a very difficult, very math heavy major compared to chemistry.
But I think that brings us to our next question pretty well.
hmm
So, like, what skills and qualities should someone have that's going into this field?
Yeah. So if you're going into chemical engineering, like I said, you definitely need to be good at math. Um, and if you're not good at math, it's not the end of the road. You just need to practice, practice, practice. You will get there, but a lot of times in chemical engineering, you're solving 3 or 4 equations of differential equations or partial differential equations, which you wouldn't see typically in a chemistry degree.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's not hard necessarily. It's just it can be very tedious.
Okay. And so what would you say your college experience was like majoring in chemical engineering?
So I went to a community college first, right out of high school. I went to a college called Moore Park Community College, which is here in Ventura, California. Um, Basically, for the first 2 years, your degree path is very similar to a chemistry major. You take basically the same classes. You take your core classes like everybody else takes in chemistry. Um, and that's pretty fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. Then I transferred to UCI, where junior year you actually split off and start taking a different path. You start taking more chemical processing classes, lots of thermodynamics classes, fluids classes, stuff like that.
All right. Um, so what advice would you give to your past self when you started studying chemical engineering?
Right, it's a good question actually. So I guess my past self, when I first got into chemical engineering, I was one of those people who thought I was getting a glorified chemistry degree. Um, but I'd still tell myself to do chemical engineering, but I would tell myself be prepared because it's not what you think it is. Um, but I still have a ton of fun doing it. It's a fantastic major, but that's what I would have told myself is just don't think you're doing one thing when you're doing something else.
All right. And so how is it balancing like your work and your personal life in this field?
Yeah. So chemical engineering is a very obviously it's one of the top 5 hardest majors you can get in college.
Yeah.
So inherently, your free time is going to be a lot less than if you were to take another major. It's still not to the point where you don't have a free time or a free some free time to do what you want to do. You still have plenty of free time to go out, hang out with your friends, and do all kinds of stuff. It's just, maybe at nighttime you might be staying up till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes doing homework. Yeah.
All right. And I guess that's like all my questions.
Mhm.
But like the last thing is, so for the senior project, I had to like spend like a period of class like teaching them about something about this field, and
Mhm.
then maybe you have to do some like demonstration or like something. So I was wondering if you have any like advice on something I can potentially do in front of the class, maybe something a demonstration or teach them how to do something.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I could probably think of something. Um, but
Yeah, I hate putting you on the spot, but like,
no, I
yeah,
can
I've
think
been
of
trying to
something.
come up with
Um,
something as well.
so I guess, a good demonstration to show what, I guess basically maybe would a diagram suffice or some sort of
Yeah,
visual
something like
representation of
that.
something? Okay.
Yeah, mostly just
Yeah.
like teaching
So
them something. Yeah.
I guess one thing, you know, for a visual representation of what chemical engineering is, right, is generally in like chemical engineering, there's different types of chemical reactors you have. And a chemical reactor is basically a glorified test tube or a glorified
Okay.
beaker, right? So if you want to show them like a scale version of what a chemical reactor is, you could basically just say, hey, a batch reactor, for instance, is the same thing as a test tube or a beaker. You pour all your stuff in, wait for the reaction to happen, and then you get your products out. So you could do that. That's a very good visual representation
Yeah.
of um, chemical engineering just scaled up.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
I like the
yeah,
idea.
something like
Thank you.
that. Something like that's good. If you want like a specific diagram or something, I could always I'll think of something tonight and see if I can come up with something a little bit um more in detail though.
All right. Thank
But
you.
yeah, if
And
you have any more questions, I mean, I'm free to answer anything else you might have.
I think that's it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries.
Thank you so much for your
Perfect.
time.
Yeah, perfect. Hopefully
And
that helps
yeah.
you in pick what you want to do. Yeah, chemical engineering is very fun. Like, don't let what I say shy you away from doing it. It's a very rewarding major. But it's not easy. But you'll figure it out. It's not something so hard you can't figure it out. You'll figure it out. It's just it might sometimes you might have to stay awake for a few nights and get some
Yeah.
work done. Yeah,
Yeah. That's probably what I'm gonna be doing in the fall.
yeah,
But
good,
yeah,
good.
I'm
Yeah, you
looking
won't have to
forward to
worry
all
about
of
that
it.
for a couple of years. Even during college, you'll be doing very straightforward classes that a lot of people are taking. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm,
All right.
perfect.
I'll see
Hopefully
you
that
then.
helps. Yeah,
Thank
take
you.
care,
Yeah,
man.
that did help a
Yep,
lot.
no problem.
See you.
Yep, bye.